We're still subtracting fractions, but we're going to look at unlike denominators. And these are two fractions where your denominators are different. And our two fractions are 2/3 and 2/6. Remember, your denominators are different. Now, we are going to show what this looks like when we find equivalent fractions of our 2/3 and 2/6 by drawing bar models. So let's represent our 2/3. I'm going to draw a rectangle and I'm breaking it up into 3 parts because my denominator is 3. And I'm going to shade in 2 parts because my numerator is 2. This is our 2/3. And now I'm going to represent 2/6, but I'm going to do it looking a little differently. And let's hope it's not too confusing. I'm breaking this up into 6 parts. And I'm showing it a little differently. And the cool thing about bar model is you can break it up with your lines going from top to bottom, as well as you can break it up with your lines going from left to right or right to left. So let's double check to make sure that this is 6 parts. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And excuse me if my lines are not straight. I am working on the desktop and it's a little hard to draw my lines straight. So I have 2/3 and I have my 6. So because my numerator is 2, I am now shading in 2 parts. And that is equal to 2/6. Now, here is the cool part. We need to make sure that we find equivalent fractions, which means that we need to make sure that our denominators are the same. This part is so cool, believe me. I know I usually say that you have to find the LCD and find multiples, but I want to show you another way in this example, and then we're going to go back to our regular scheduled program. So you're going to take your thirds, right? We're going to draw it the same way that we did on top. We're shading in our 2/3. Here you have 1/3. Here you have another 1/3. And here's the other cool part. You're going to take your 6, but we're not going to shade it in. We're just going to draw the lines to represent our 6. And let's see, break it up in half and break each half into thirds. So that's the top part. Break the bottom part up into thirds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. And now you need to ask yourself, to find your denominator, you need to ask yourself, how many little squares are there? Meaning, how many of these squares do you see in all? So you have 3 going across, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going down. And we know that we can find our answer by doing array. Multiply your 3 times your 6, and that's going to give you 18. And now we can ask ourselves, how many shaded parts do we have? We have 2 going across and we have 6 going down. So that's equal to 12. And you can see that 2/3 is the same thing as 12/18. And of course, you can simplify this by breaking it down, but let's not do that just yet. Now, we did that for our 2/3. We need to find the equivalent fraction for our 2/6. And we're going to break up our 6 the same way that we did at the beginning by breaking up into half and then break each half, up into thirds. No, that is not good. Sorry, I have to erase. Let's try that again. And I made the same mistake. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Let's see, can we fix this? One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay. We're going to shade in the 2 parts to represent our 2/6. And let me change my color. Now we're going to represent the thirds by drawing our lines down the same way how we did when we did 2/3. And we still have our denominator as 18, but now we need to find our numerator because remember, we're finding equivalent fractions. So we know that 2/6 is the same thing as, let's see, how many shaded parts do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 6/18. 2/3 is the same thing as 12/18. And 2/6 is the same thing as 6/18. And to make sure of that, so you have 2/3, your denominator is 18. Let's see. Remember the rule. Whatever we do at the bottom, we do at the top. How do you go from 3 to 18? You multiply it by 6, which is what we did over here. How do you go from 2 to 12? You multiply it by 6. We multiplied by 6 in both our numerator and our denominator. So check, that's good. Now you're going to look at your 2/6, set it equal to 6/18. And then you're going to ask yourself, how do you go from 6 to 18? You multiply it by 3, which is what we did over here. And let's see, 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So far, so good. So far, so good. Check. But now look, we need to subtract. That's just equivalent fractions that we find. We need to make sure that now we can subtract because our denominators are the same. So let me just rewrite it. 2/3 is the same thing as 12/18. And 2/6 is the same thing as 6/18. And now we can subtract. Take away 6 from 12. You're left with 6, and your denominator is still the same. And now we can simplify this, right? Because now we can divide 6 by 6, and we can divide 18 by 6, and we have, look, 1/3. Oh my Lord, let's see. If we do it the other way that we've been talking about, will we get the same answer of 1/3 or 6/18?